welcome to your Frontier opening bell. Oh, of course, this is the second trading day of the week, so we've got quite a couple of grounds to cover. But if you look at the equity side of things, just as we get the show always started on that front, you can see the numbers stacking up largely in the green across many of the markets we cover on the African continent, with the exception of the Zimbabwe stock markets that went into a 1.24% decline on Monday. We saw some steady gains in Nigeria, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Egypt, in Nairobi, as well as the South African exchanges. So quite a bit of all of that. Even Uganda stock market, where the stock market in Uganda was also positive yesterday, led by MTN, Uganda, East African Breweries, and of course, Centum Investment. So quite a broadly equities trading day starting off on Frontier Africa for a positive Monday. Let's get on to see, because we had a lot of news coming through across the continent. If you look at the East Africa, the private cement company reportedly putting together about 1.2 billion shillings to build a geothermal plant in Nakuru County in Kenya. That's where the cement company is looking to put that to support its energy sustainability. The public pension schemes in public sector pensions in the country now have been allowed to add Eurobonds as well as stocks on the Nairobi Securities Exchange to their investment portfolios. Something other markets across the continent may want to consider, Nigeria and a few others as well. And Ethiopia is looking to approve or put up a new bill next week that would allow foreign banks to step into the Horn of Africa's economy and do business. 100% you can have a foreign-owned bank in Ethiopia. That's what news sources say. And if you want to partner with existing local banks, you can do between 30 and 50%. We expect the new bill to be another game changer in Prime Minister Abiy's financial and economic markets and economic reform that Ethiopia is going through, looking to set up, formally open its own securities exchange early in the new year. And the European Union has banned, has closed its airspace across the 25 countries to Air Tanzania over safety standard rules. Those rules have been reviewed, and Air Tanzania has to comply with those rules. Safety is priority in the business of aviation. Everything else comes second. And 300 Eritrean investors are packing their bags and getting ready to go to Kampala in Uganda. And that's for the second diaspora conference in the East African region. Let's get to Nigeria. Of course, you got a big news yesterday. $5 billion investment in Nigeria's Bonga North oil field, offshore, deep water, expected to come on stream between now and the year 2030 or thereabout. That will raise the size of investments across Africa to a higher level. $47 billion was what the African Energy Chamber says we've done so far this year, which is about 23% over the figure for 2023, according to data released yesterday by NGIU, the executive chairman of the African Energy Chamber. In the meantime, Nigeria's inflation came in red hot, more than global, about 34%, beating our analysts' estimates, some estimates by some wide margin, 34.6%. The FCCPC, that's the agency responsible for consumer protection in Nigeria, says is rejecting an appeal by Coca-Cola and its Nigerian subsidiary over the 86 million fine that was slammed on the company for mislabeling of its products in Nigeria, confusing consumers as to what is in the bottle of a Coca-Cola. That case is still on. It's gone to a consumer protection appeal as we speak. In Mali, Barrick Corporation said it may shut down its gold mine because the authorities, the military junta, is taking over the golds being mined from those sources. And Barrick Corporation says it may have to shut down the entire operations in Mali, northern corridor of Nigeria, neighbor to the north, if the seizure by the government or dispute with the government, there the authorities are now resolved as soon as possible. And the EFDB's new Managed Debt Management Forum for Africa took off yesterday here in Abuja, Nigeria's political capital. The head of the EFDB in charge of the economy, the chief economist, Dr. Kelvin Urama, says Africa needs to put its house in order in terms of macroeconomic policies, tax regime, efficiency of tax, and a lot of other macroeconomic variables, and not just depending on debt cancellation, debt relief, or debt sustainability. Said those are good. The G20 framework, the World Bank, the IMF, the Paris Club, whatever, that's very good. But the continent leaders, fiscal leaders and political leaders have to do things a whole lot better in managing their affairs. Making debt work for Africa was what the conference is all about, with delegates from about 15 African countries entering the second day session. Today, Nigeria's Director General in charge of the debt office is also in attendance. Standard Chartered says he's putting together $800 million loan for Ivory Coast. And those are your headlines on the West Coast. Let me move on to the Southern African region. And of course, the South Africa is seeing a couple of stories. But let's start from Malawi, where FMB Bank says, listed on the Malawi Stock Exchange, is reporting issued a statement that when it's reported full year earnings for December for this year comes in, that will be showing a consolidated profit of $24 million, higher than earlier thought, while profits, which is attributable to shareholders, will be between 18 to 24%. Keep those numbers in mind. You got a couple of weeks more down the line. Mauritius police have issued an order of arrest for a former central bank governor. Sigolam is currently out of the country. No further details were provided, but he's been wanted by the police on issues relating to fraud while in office. Zimbabwe power users in the industrial sector have secured $250 million from the African Export Bank, the Afreximbank, to build a solar plant that will help mitigate the impact of the shutdown or the very drastic decline in power supply from hydroelectric sources in the economy. Yesterday, however, the Minister of Finance for Zimbabwe, Dube, met with the business community to explain the details of the new budget for next year and what is in it for the business sector in Zimbabwe. And finally, Botswana's new president, Boko, says no salary increase for members of parliament and the councillors around the counties for the next financial year. Great. Let's see what the North African headlines look like this Tuesday morning as we get on to the rest of the week. The Suez Canal Economic Zone said they've done $38 million agreement for food and textile plants to be situated within that economic zone. The finance minister, however, unveiled a comprehensive tax and export initiative to boost the business confidence index of North Africa's biggest economy. And Morocco says it's got a deal for red meat imports from Spanish companies. And finally, Gauchon High-Tech Investment says 2.5 billion euros is what has been put into battery production facilities in Morocco, as well as Slovakia in Eastern Europe. Those are your headlines for this day. That's Tuesday, the 17th of December. I am Bosun Nomofa. Do have a great day and see you soon on Frontier Opening Bell.